Welcome, welcome. My name is Sierra Bragan, and I am the owner and founder of Miami Mom Collective. And Miami Mom Collective is a resource for moms. We have a website, we're on all the social media channels. We also host events for moms and families. And our heart and our mission is to encourage, equip, and empower local moms and families. And so we do that through content, resources, events like this. So if we can ever serve you, we are here for you. It is our joy to partner with UHealth Jackson Children's Care. Again, for maybe our 30th episode, it feels like, of Parental Guidance. But again, if you've missed any of the previous episodes, you can go back. We have tons of topics there. Everything from COVID, vaccine, flu, with children with disabilities, all sorts of topics there at jacksonevents.org. You can watch all of our previous webinars and learn from our experts and share those with friends. So check that out. I'm excited to introduce you to tonight's guest, but before I do, I want to draw your attention to just a couple things, little housekeeping. Again, if you use that chat feature at the bottom, you can engage with our audience, you can share a comment. And then if you have a question at any point in tonight's webinar, use that far right option, Q&A. Please put all the questions there because it's hard for us to kind of keep up with the chat. And I will do my best to get all of those questions in front of our experts tonight. Welcome. We're so glad that you're here. Again, if there's any topics that you would love to see covered in a future parental guidance episode, please let us know. We really take that feedback to heart. We're so grateful that you join us. A lot of people are coming back and back, which is encouraging. So we want to keep these relevant for you. So let us know any topics that would be exciting for you to learn more about. And we look forward to bringing you more great resources. But I want to tell you a few things before we get started about Jackson and the Holtz Children's Hospital. You may not know, but the pediatric emergency rooms at Holtz Children's Hospital, Jackson North and Jackson West, are available to you 24/7. I always say, I hope you never need it, but if you do, I want you to know that they're available and that they are all staffed with board certified pediatric emergency medicine specialists. So parents and kids are getting access to every pediatric subspecialist at Holtz Children's Hospital from the University of Miami Health System, as well as the Jackson Health System. So really great experts there, expert care for you. So just make a note of that. Again, hope you don't ever need that information and that your family stays well, especially this holiday season. I'm excited to introduce you to tonight's guest. We've got two special guests tonight, and we are going to start with Dr. Allison Weinstein. She's actually been with us before. So if you were with us in the last year, you may remember her being here, but you can go back and watch her previous episode. She is the Assistant Professor of Clinical Pediatrics at the Mailman Center for Child Development. She is a licensed psychologist with over 10 years of experience working with children and families. So tonight's topic is right up her alley. She specializes in helping families manage child behavior concerns while strengthening relationships. Dr. Weinstein co-directs the Mailman Center Pediatric Psychology Clinic, and she's also the director of training for the Parent-Child Interaction Therapy Program. And in addition to that, she leads the University of Miami's Parent Club program through evidence-based services into Miami-Dade County families. So I love the Parent Club. We, Miami Mom Collective, have done things with the Parent Club. So love what you're doing there as well. And just excited to have you tonight because we can pick your brain directly. So Dr. Weinstein, thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much, Sierra. I'm really excited to talk to you tonight about playing with your kids.
Yes, it's such an important topic. Thinking about it before we started, I said, it's so easy to kind of sometimes think as a parent, like, play with my child. Yeah. I know that's important. But, throwing a good toy to our kids or popping on a movie and sitting with them is not necessarily the same as playing well with them. So I want to dive right in and let's talk about why it's important to play with our children.
Sure. So, I completely agree. I think that there's definitely place for popping in a movie and all of those kind of things. But you also want to think about actually sitting down and playing with your child. And the reasons that you want to do that are because it gives you an opportunity to provide them with regular positive attention from you. And that's going to help improve their self-esteem. It's going to, make them feel more secure. It's also going to build your relationship to be, to build on the strengths of your relationship and the warmth in your relationship. And believe it or not, the best part is that it also helps them to behave better when you do this.
Mm-hmm. That's so true. I've noticed that even with my own children, that at times it's like they're all playing over there, but if I will stop what I'm doing and engage with them, even just 10, 15 minutes, I see that like they play for even longer when I'm done at that time with them. So I think it does, like you said, it influences their behavior. Again, thank you for joining us tonight. If some people are just joining in, I want to let you know that just for being here tonight, that you are entered into a giveaway. So we're talking about play. We're going to talk about toys and playing and all this. But we are putting our money where our mouth is. And someone tonight is going to win a $75 gift card just for being here. So hang with us. And I'm excited to introduce you to the owner of Happy Monkey a little bit later. So stay with us. But just want you to know that all of you who are here are entered to win a great giveaway. So stay tuned for that. But okay, Dr. Weinstein, tell us, what age should we start playing with our child? Because, a little bitty baby, you think, oh, they don't really do much. So what age should we start playing with our child?
Yeah. So when they're little bitty babies, it's kind of hard to have interactive play, but you can still give them positive attention, which I'm going to talk more about a little bit later. But I would say, as soon as they're able to get up and manipulate toys, that's a good time to start playing with them. Certainly age 1, and then really start getting into the swing of it by the time that they're 2.
That's great. That's great. And then how often should we play with our child?
That's another great question. What's really important about playing with your child, less than the amount of time you spend doing it, is more about the consistency. So ideally, if you can play with them for at least 5 minutes every day, giving them your positive attention, letting them pick what to play, that's really going to have a lot of positive effects.
Wow, 5 minutes. Like I thought you were going to say, give them at least an hour a day, but like 5 minutes is, a fraction of the time that we all spend on social media scrolling, let's be honest. But tell me, so that really, like 5 minutes is enough? It doesn't seem very long.
Yeah, so it doesn't seem very long, but if you use that 5 minutes to really focus positive attention on your child, make it one-on-one, sit together with them, playing with something where they're in charge, and doing things like praising them, describing what they're doing, giving them that focused attention. 5 minutes a day can be very, very powerful, and can really work wonders. And it's also long enough to have an effect on, improving the strengths of your relationship, improving child behavior, but it's also not too long that you can't do it. And so that's the logic.
That's good. That consistency, like you said, every day making that time. It's just a little short span like that. So important. It's great. What type of activities work well for playtime? Give us some ideas.
So there's lots of activities, and all these are good. The kind of activities that I'm talking about, where you can sit down for that 5 minutes and give them that really positive one-on-one attention that's going to do things in terms of building their self-esteem and improving their behavior. Those activities can be a little more specific. So things where the child can make the rules. So something like Legos, something like building toys, blocks, play sets, farm, kitchens. Maybe for older kids could be crafts, things like that, where they can make the rules and you can follow their lead and give them positive attention as they're doing it. For example, giving them praise for what a good job they're doing playing, and just kind of follow their lead.
That's great. I think about in the mornings, a lot of mornings, I'll say, my 3-year-old boy loves to color dinosaurs, and he wants to color all the dinosaurs rainbows. And I'm like, you know what? You could color that dinosaur whatever you want. And it means the world to him. I see it when I sit down with him and I jump in and do it too. And I think, man, that's easy. And coloring is pretty therapeutic for mom too. So it's a win-win. That's great. Why is it important? Oh, I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
I said that's the perfect activity. Is coloring works really well.
Yeah. So why is it important to let our children make the rules in play? To not be like, no, dinosaurs are green. Don't do that. Draw it green.
That's a great question. Well, I could start off by us remembering, just as adults, that adults are in charge all day long, right? Remember, they're telling them what to do, when to wake up, when to eat, you know, telling them things all. And so playtime with you, one time they have during they get to make the rules. And that can be very therapeutic. And especially if you have a child that's an independent spirit, which many beautiful children are, it gives them a chance to express that independent spirit. It also can help them build leadership skills. So what are they doing when they're in charge of the play? They're leading it, and they're building leadership skills, giving you a chance to follow. That self-esteem also shows that you, the parent, the most important person in their life, is approving of the choices that they make. And a little side benefit is that it can help you get to know your child better when you follow their lead.
That's right. Man, it's so good. Like so much magic happens during play and it's easy to kind of dismiss it. And I know one thing I'll confess as a mom of three little people, my house feels like a wreck all the time. And I just look around like, oh, all I see is mess. And someone told me once that has really shifted my perspective, but they're like, as you're looking into the mess, especially like the playroom, look, with the eye of like, what was going on here? What were they doing? And when I do, it's like, oh my goodness, he sorted the cars by color, or, she stacked the blocks to make a bridge. And you realize to be able to see, sometimes we miss what do they say, miss the trees for the forest, and to think there's so much, like you said, that we can learn about our child. Of course, engaging with them in play, but even just taking that minute to step back and look at the mess they made, and see what it teaches us about them. So I love that you brought that up. That's so good. What if you talked about, having a child who's maybe strong, maybe a stronger will or kind of bossy? Should we still let them make the rules?
Yeah, you should especially let them make the rules, actually. And I think that's such an interesting question, because if they're bossy, well, maybe they enjoy being in charge of things, and that can be a very positive thing. So this is giving them that opportunity to be in charge. It's kind of a safe and healthy way for them to express that independent spirit that many children have, and giving them the chance to make the rules and show that you approve of that, again, can build their self-esteem and help having you follow along with their choices. Doesn't matter during playtime. That's the one time it doesn't really matter if they make the rules. Because like if you're cooking, obviously, or whatever you're doing, working, you have to make the rules. But during play, it's an opportunity for rules. Another little magic secret that I want to share with you is that if you have a bossy child and you let them make the rules in play, they may start to trust that space to make rules, and they might become less bossy and easier to manage at other times, because they can count on having that space to express themselves in that way. And that's one way that behavior can improve, when you let a child lead the play.
That's good. That is challenging for me personally, right here, right tonight, because I do have a child who's challenging me in a lot of areas, and I realize we're in a busy season of life where, I'm not getting lots of opportunity to sit down with him and let him make the rules. So that's a challenge for me. I'm gonna try that tomorrow, and see. I'm excited for that. What should we say to our children when we're playing? We're letting them lead, we're letting them kind of make the rules, but what are we saying to them as we're playing?
And that's the magic question right there. So there's a number of things that you can say, how you can respond to your child. And I'll start with what I think is my favorite one, and one of the most powerful things that you can do is praise your child. But praising them, not just like, oh, great job, praising them for very specific things. So when you see that they're doing something that you like, for example, if they're building blocks and they're doing it gently, and you say to them, I love how you're using those blocks so gently, honey. That tower is beautiful and you're using the blocks so nice and softly. That's going to raise their self-esteem, because they feel that they can do something great that you approve of, and something very specific. also we know from research that when you do that, when you praise these very specific things that children do, they're going to do them more. So if you have a child that's throwing stuff sometimes, but when they're being gentle, you give them that praise for being gentle, you're going to see more gentle behavior, and that crowds out the other stuff. So
That's
it's really
good.
very powerful.
That positive reinforcement is so important. I love it. I heard it said once, praise what you want to raise, not in a manipulative way, but like give praise to those behaviors that you want to see more of. So that's a great reminder. Are there other things besides giving praise that would be good, to say while we're playing with our kids?
Yeah, absolutely. So praise is one very powerful tool, but there's also when you're playing alongside a child and your goal is to let them lead the play, your goal is to, follow where they're going, get to know them. Another thing that you can do is to describe what they're doing. So it's almost like the way you would see a sports announcer describing, somebody, oh, he's dribbling the basketball, shoots, a similar kind of a concept when a child is building a tower. Oh, now you've gotten a blue block and you put the blue block down, you put a red one on. Okay, you're making it taller. And so you kind of narrate, you mix this in with praise and other things. So you're narrating what they do. This has the effect of making them do it longer. And again, that's backed by research. So when you describe what a child is doing and you're following their lead, they're going to do that longer because of the positive attention that you're giving them.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's great. We received a question from the audience, I think is along these lines. So I want to ask you, okay, we were letting them lead, we're encouraging them, we're praising them, but what's the best way when in play we have to say no? Like, okay, you can't eat the block, you can't put, whatever, can't touch that part of the out, whatever. If you have to say no in play, what's the best way to do that?
Yeah, that is a great question. So I'll bring in a couple of concepts here. One concept is ignoring. So this one is if your child is doing something that is annoying, something that's clearly for attention, something that's really not going to hurt anyone or anything, just go. Basically, at least during this 5 minutes of playtime every day. Let's say they're whining. If they're putting a block in their mouth, it depends. If you not dangerous, they'll stop doing it a lot quicker if you just ignore it. Because when you say, take it out of your mouth, take it out of your mouth, that's actually giving them attention for that behavior. Will make it happen more if you can believe it. So if you can ignore it, ignore it. If they do something like hit you or something at you, that's your cue to stop. So then you can say, we're going to stop playing now because you threw a block at me. I know that we can have a good playtime tomorrow, and you give it another go tomorrow. Mm-hmm. So those are kind of the basic ways to manage that.
That's good. And for the smaller ones, like younger ones, maybe like 12 to 15, 18 months, where maybe they're putting something in their mouth that they shouldn't. You got to say no.
Mm-hmm.
I guess some good advice there too would be just remove any toys that would make you have to say no, right?
Yeah, that's an excellent way to manage that. And so I think that speaks to kind of setting up your playtime. So when you think about, I want to have this time with my child 5 minutes a day, what kind of things am I going to use? And if there's things that they put in their mouth all the time, a lot of times we'll see that with the fake food. We'll just say, don't use it. Because if it bothers you as a parent, or if it's dangerous, then use something else. Use, something that is going to be comfortable and not create those concerns for you. So excellent point.
That's great. Awesome. Okay. So are there other things that we should be doing while we play to make it more fun? We're praising them. We are making sure that everything is play ready and equipped for them. We're narrating. Are there any other things that we should do to make it more fun?
Yeah. So there's another technique that I can share with you. That's called, it's repeating what your child says. And sometimes we refer to this as reflecting only the good things they say. Obviously, if they yell or say something you don't like, you're going to ignore that. But if they say something like, I made the tower really tall, then you as a parent can say, you made it so tall. I mean, did you ever
Mhm.
see a kid say something over and over again until you notice it?
Yeah.
And then they stop. So it's
Yeah.
kind of about them feeling that you've heard them and them feeling that you have approved of what they said, and then you reiterating, giving them that positive attention. And that can be really powerful too.
Yeah. That's good. That's great. Oh, there's so much that goes into it. It's so easy to, again, just do it so quickly and think, like, but to stop and just literally slow down and focus on the needs of our child. This is so good, Dr. Weinstein. Thank you. Okay. What about, is there anything that we should avoid doing or saying to our child when we play?
Yes. Yes. And especially during these 5 minutes, maybe, something to think about just in general, how many commands we give our child. So during this 5 minutes, we're trying to let them be the leader, right? And
That's good.
to avoid during that special, you can call it, the special playtime, avoiding telling them what to do. So even saying,
Yeah.
oh, let's make this car go down the ramp. So you want to be more in a waiting mode, see what they do and follow. No suggestions. You're just there to give them positive attention and follow their lead. Along the same line, you really want to avoid questions time, because questions are really little commands. You ask
Yeah.
somebody
Yeah.
something, it's like telling them to tell you something.
That's right.
And to avoid would be avoiding any criticism during that playtime. And criticism can be things like, that's not nice, but it can also be saying no, which is why we want to keep the toys out that might create issues. But anything that contradicts what the child is trying to do, so even saying trees aren't blue if they're coloring that would be a criticism. So
That's right.
just sort of rolling with what they're doing, and avoiding any kind of contradiction of telling them to do something differently. So that's a lot of things to avoid, but it's easier when you're
Oh,
doing
I
those other
totally get it.
things. Yeah.
Yeah. And man, it's so hard for us as adults because we want to be like, oh, no, 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 like try it this way, or why don't you do it like this, or why don't you. But man, if we will just take the time to just, like you said, I love that, getting in the waiting mode, like just you're kind of waiting. Man, our kids can really surprise us sometimes with just like their amazing ingenuity and creativity. I think, wow, we unlearn that, over time. And so we have so much to learn from them if we will just pause and stop. So good. Thank you for this great tips. Playing with our kids. Okay, what about, where should we play with our children? Is there a certain designated space? Should it be the same space all the time?
Yeah, so it doesn't have to be the same all the time. In fact, it's good if it's flexible. But some of the things that you want to think about are having a one-on-one with your child. And if you have 6 kids, it'd be really great if you had a one-on-one 5 minutes a day with each of them. A lot to ask.
Mhm.
But so the it should be, again, the two of you, and there should be no screens. I know this is another hard ask, but if possible, other kids, for at least that 5 minutes, could be doing something else so you can really focus. You want to have not too many toys because it can be distracting. You really want to pick a few toys that work well for this purpose. Put those out. It could be their room, could be a room in their home, in your home. If you're away, hotel room, you could do it at a park. Lots of folks do it during bath time because that's a time sometimes you really get your kid to yourself.
Yeah,
A relative's home,
that's
at the
good.
beach, really could be anywhere. And one tip I want to give too is, if you try, you can do this virtually on Zoom. You can play with your child virtually.
Okay, great. We can do everything virtually now, can't we? It's amazing, all the skills that we have learned. Okay, on that note, you mentioned a little bit about screens. Got some questions about screens, and we're going to get into that. But I guess we'll start with this. So one mom is asking, she has a 6-year-old who does not want to play with toys by herself. She's doing virtual school, so she's spending a lot of screen time. And then when she's done with all of her school, she gets frustrated that mom doesn't let her watch the iPad after school. So do you have some tips on just breaking our screen addictions? It's so challenging. I think all of us probably have this addiction in some way. But any just tips or advice for that as we work with our children? Oh no, did it freeze up? Dr. Weinstein, can you hear me? Let's see. Nicole, can you hear me? Okay. Uh-oh, it looks like maybe her connection, she got bounced off, but she's going to be back. So we're going to watch for her to come back. Great questions about screen time. We're going to dive more into that as soon as she jumps back. Wonderful. Here she comes.
There she is.
Wonderful. Dr. Weinstein.
Sorry about that. Am I back?
No worries. No worries. Welcome back. Okay, I'm not sure if you heard my bit of the question, but this mom has a 6-year-old who's doing virtual school. She's in front of a screen all day, doesn't play well with her toys by herself, and is frustrated that mom will not let her get on the iPad. What can we do to help our children with these screen addictions?
So the question is to keep, when kids want to be on the screen, and to help them spend less time on the screen. Well, I'm going to throw one idea out there where you can actually make a screen more interactive. So if, and the fact is, there are kids like to spend a lot of time on screens. So one thing you can try is to try interactive games where you can do some of the things that I was suggesting earlier, using it on a screen. So where the child's making the rules and the child is leading you. So that's one thing you can do. And then if that works well, you may be able to transition into other toys once you get that going better. So, playing with them on a screen and then transitioning that to some other activities. Another suggestion that I like to share with you, and something that I've done in the past successfully with kids and families, is finding toys that are themed in the theme of the games that they like to play on the screen. Okay. So for example, like a Minecraft Lego set, something like that. That is a very nice way to get your child to play with you off a screen, because they'll be more interested in that. So that's one idea.
Good. No, those are great tips. Yeah, I'm thinking, let's play a game on the laptop or on the iPad. Like, oh, okay, now let's play Candyland. Transition them to a different game. That's great. Good tips there. Yeah. So I guess anything you would add to if your child, doesn't like to play, they only want to be on the screen. Again, you said playing together. I love that. Looking for ways that you can take toys that would be on the internet and make them real life toys that they could play with. That's good. What about if our child misbehaves while we are playing? Even about 5 minutes, we know it can happen. What should we do?
Yeah, that absolutely, it happens. So your number one go-to is going to be, I like to say, let it go. And I think of the movie and the song, Let It Go. Try to keep that as your mindset. If it's something annoying, whining, being loud, let it go. But if it's something, and then when they're done doing whatever the behavior is that you didn't like, let's say it's whining, and then they start in a nice voice, immediately use praise for that behavior. That's the what you didn't like. So as soon as they start talking nicely, thanks for talking to me with such a soft voice. I love playing with you, and we play quietly, those kind of things. However, if the misbehavior is something you cannot ignore, and that happens too, like breaking things or throwing things, that's a deal breaker. So you're going to stop playing now and you use away and walk away. And one important thing is not to give that bad behavior too much attention, because what you're doing is grow. It's like putting fertilizer on it, because it's getting attention. And lots of times those behaviors are meant to get your attention. So if you ignore them, you're not letting the child get away with it. you're more taking away the purpose for it by ignoring it.
That's right. That's good. Oh, and it's so hard to discern those things in the moment, but man, that's wisdom there. That's good. Talk to us about, can you describe the long-term benefits of playing with our children, even for just 5 minutes every day?
Yeah, and there are really so many, and you know, number one, like at least where we work with families in our clinic, and they come in to help improve child behavior, right? And then so the thing that we start to do with them is this kind of play, and we see amazing improvements in behavior so quickly, just by doing
That's
these 5 minutes a day in this way. So behavior is gonna really get better. Child self-esteem is gonna, you can also improve kids' communication skills, their vocabulary, their social skills, sharing better, cooperating better, and once you start using this positive attention, it really can open up a space for you to communicate with your child, and that can last through adulthood. So it's a really wonderful, a simple but wonderful thing to do.
Yeah, it's amazing to think, like you said, just something so simple, and for a tiny little nugget of our day can have such profound, lasting impact with our children. Is huge. It's a must for us. Now, I know a lot of people listening maybe have small children, some maybe have older children. One specific guest that's listening tonight asked if we had any advice for playtime with a baby, like 8 months to 1 year. Any specific advice for that?
Yeah, so you can do all of these things with the baby, just verbally. If they can manipulate things, you can still play with them, but you can always describe what they're doing. You can always use praise. Oh, I love how you're laughing. Thank you for holding my hand. Any of these things while you're playing, you can still do with a little baby in the same way.
That's good. That's good. On that note, talk to us. Is there anything that you would, modify or change if you were applying all this to children with special needs and maybe their interests are a little bit more limited? Speak to us about that.
Yeah, for sure. And certainly this is fantastic for children with special needs. Um, you know, if they're having, if they say ADHD, something like that, and there's behaviors that you don't like, when you play with them, you can ignore those and use praise for the behaviors you do like, praise for being calm, praise for, playing gently. Or if, their interests are very limited, and we see that very often, you can praise flexibility. So if they only like to play with one certain kind of a toy, if it's blocks, they play with blocks. What you can do is play with the blocks, but introduce other kind of blocks. And then, just get one in there. And if they play with the one, say, thank you so much for playing with a new kind of block or toy. So, praising for flexibility, depending on the needs of your child, a wonderful thing to do.
Yeah, that's good. Okay, a more specific question. This is about, we talked a little bit about what to do, if a child is misbehaving during play. So I'm going to give you kind of a specific scenario. One mom says her nephew, most of the time that they are together, he is hitting her daughter. So I guess they're all playing together. And then when they try to stop, him or his parents try to stop him, trying to protect the daughter, they just cry. And then the daughter's crying. And now the daughter gets frustrated and she's hitting mom because everybody's just worked up and frustrated. So what advice would you give them? Because she's saying that getting everybody together is just stressful. I can imagine that, like having a play date or even just sitting down to have that time can just become a trigger. So what would you advise in a situation like that?
That sounds really hard. And I know, that can be a real struggle. And I think that I would always go back to that individual time. So it sounds like when they're together, it's a little bit harder, but it's worth giving a try to separate them and playing with one at a time. Doing these things can really, again, make them improve your relationship, make them feel more warm and secure. Give them that time to be in charge. So maybe they're clashing because they both want to be in charge, and they don't necessarily have a time to do that. So giving each one separately. And this is a really important reason why you need to have it on an individual level with each child. So give them that chance to just be in charge. And that may really, really help kind of simmer the situation down. And then when they are together, I would guess that there probably are times where they are getting along. So maybe it's, if it's 10% of the time where they're fighting might be a lot. But if it's then the other 90% that they're getting along, you want to jump in there with praises and say, I really like how you guys are playing together. Thank you for talking calmly right now. Really makes me feel great to be with you when you guys are being nice to each other. So get in there with those praises, and not only get in there when they're fighting, because that's attention, and that could be, adding on to that behavior. So.
Yeah, that's good. Oh, it's challenging. I'm like just thinking, like, as a mom, like, yeah, if only it would just go easy, like a formula every day. But they keep us on our toes, so we're always learning and growing with them. But a couple more questions, and then we're going to transition. But what kind of toys should we play with our kids?
So you want toys where the child can make the rules, and it's very, very open. I would say for when you're doing that time where, the special where they need to, lead the play, you don't want toys with rules. So building toys, kitchen toys with kids, magnet tiles, for little ones, like these pretend cash registers, play animals. And like for older kids, or any kids really, could be like Play-Doh, arts and crafts, jewelry kits, clay, as long as the parent is comfortable with it. So you don't want to bust out the finger paints if that's gonna create stress for
The
you.
glitter's not allowed in my house.
Exactly. So that's the basic idea.
That's great. That's great. And anything that you would add, again, I know a lot of our listeners probably have younger children, but for those who may have older children, are there any certain things you would suggest that they could do to play with them?
I'll say that, like, the kids that I've worked with a lot love marble runs. They love cars and ramps. Marble runs are great. I mean, universally loved. Kinetic a lot. Like, I don't think it's as messy as regular sand. Yeah. Spirographs have been fun. These are kind of the little toys that have kind of worked for us.
It's great.
Yeah.
Love it. And just I'm thinking, those bigger kids, like getting outside and kicking a ball or hitting a tennis ball or whatever, I think, man, that's a great opportunity for some of those, especially maybe older middle school, even high school kids, to get out there. And I've heard it said that you kind of want like a third party, and let that be either a windshield, you're driving and you're talking, but you're both looking out the window, or you're hitting a ball, or you're kicking a ball. It's kind of like that third party makes it a little bit easier to have conversations sometimes, and maybe our kids open up a little bit more. I'm not in that stage yet, but maybe for those who have older kids. So Dr. Weinstein, this is really super helpful. We appreciate you. And you just have a plethora of wisdom tonight. We only dove into the play section of your knowledge, and I feel like we could pick your brain about behavior and so many things. So maybe we can have you back in the future and do an episode on behavior, because I know we as parents all have questions about that. But thank you so much for being with us and just for sharing your expertise tonight. I'm going to transition now and welcome our special community guest. So we like to bring in one of our medical experts, and then we love to bring in someone from the community to introduce you to. And so tonight it is Nicole Candusso. She's the owner of Happy Monkey, which is a super fun toy store in Miami. They're in the Little River area. And if you see on her background there, this is like actually her store. It's that beautiful. And I always say, I'm like, these are toys you, like, parents want to have in their house. Nobody wants to have glitter and more, plastic things. But Nicole, I want my house to be filled with toys from your shop, because they're just beautiful. And I know that they're not only beautiful, I know that they're purposeful. And we're going to learn more about that tonight. But thank you so much for being with us.
Well, thank you very much for having me. Yeah, I wanted to be in the shop tonight, but it was a little late. So I'm like, let me bring the shop with my little picture here in the background.
Perfect.
So you can kind of have an idea what we offer. And yeah, as you said, all beautiful toys that will last generations.
Yes, and wonderful. So if you've been listening in from the beginning, simply for being here, you are being entered to win a $75 gift card to go shopping at Happy Monkey. And it can't come at a better time because I know we're all thinking, what do we want to fill our house with at Christmas time? That's my first thought when I buy a toy, is like, not does my kid want this, but I'm like, do I want this in my house? And then I think, does my kid want this? But definitely your toys are something that our kids would love and we would love having in our house too. So let's talk about, how do we choose a developmentally appropriate toy that our child would actually play with? Because sometimes we just kind of at random choose the Paw Patrol, whatever, but how do we choose something truly developmentally appropriate?
Well, first we have to think about safety. That's something that I always talk to my customers when they come and shop. You have to think about what's safe for your child. There are a lot of small parts in a lot of toys, so you have to be very careful about what you bring to them. And second, as Dr. Weinstein said, you have to keep it simple. So toys are simple, not lights or batteries. You know, they can overstimulate your kids. So just keep things simple. Toys that are going to bring creativity to the kids. So that's what I think would encourage them to play with the toys you bring.
That's so good. I think sometimes we have the temptation to think like, man, this toy only does XYZ, like it needs 15 different functions. But we fail to think, when we were kids, we were out running in the mud and like we had so much fun. Exactly. And we learned so much, and that sometimes you can do a lot more with a lot less. So that's great to talk about, just how simple the toys can be. So I love that. How can we encourage growth, meeting of milestones, and things like that with our babies in play?
So I have a lot of toys here right now to show you guys. Yeah. So I brought this, I divided between 0 to 6 months first. So infants are fascinated with movement and sounds, simpler black and white visuals like this fabric ball. It has a little rattles, it's very fun. We have this other super cute little, sorry, I have this back.
No, it's good. I think if you just hold it right in front of you, it should be able to see.
Let me put, sorry, I'm gonna just be boring here. I just moved so I don't have anything right now in the office. So this is a little rattle, which is made of organic rubber. So it's great for little babies from 0 to 6 months. We also have this wrinkle teeter here. Babies love to squeeze things, touch. It's easy to grab too. It's like round and they can chew on it. All of this is also natural. So it's great to have. And then these little keys, which are great. My babies, I remember they used to put all my keys in their mouths and I was like, oh my God, please don't do that.
That's right.
Yeah, babies love to grab keys. So these are also great. They have rounded shapes too, so they're very safe for them to put in their mouths. So these are great for 0 to 6 months. Now 6 to 8 months, now they can hold bigger toys. They're learning about cause and effect too. And they also like to transfer toys from hand to hand and put things inside containers. These are my favorites. These are silicone stackers.
Oh yeah, cool.
They're awesome. You can use them in the bathtub. So you see the holes. So they love to transfer things, right? So they can play with this in the bath. They're silicone, so they can put them in their mouths. And you can also stack them like this.
Oh yeah, that's great. And
we love them because they're round, and we find that square stacking toys are a little difficult for them, so we stick to these round stacking toys. And also we love these little rattles too.
Oh, love it. Is that like wooden? Is the center wooden?
Yeah, this is all wooden. This is made in Germany, and very nice bright colors too. And they can pull, they can turn them.
I love it.
All of these toys too, you introduce them to these toys, but then as they grow with them. So these are, toys that are gonna grow with them too. Another toys I like for 8 to 18 months are the stacking rings.
Oh yeah.
This is made in Russia by a very small family workshop.
Okay.
So, when you introduce this to babies 8 months, they can't really stack them in the, in here. But what you can do is they can put them on top, and then as they grow, like at 12 months, that's when they can start putting things.
Start stacking. Yeah.
Yeah. And this is something that lasts for long too. So these are all toys. Good. Another one is, they start crawling too when they're, 6 months. So they like to push things as they crawl.
Oh,
so it's a very nice little toy with rounded edges too, so they can put in their mouths. You have to think about things that are
everything's
lightweight.
in the mouth.
Exactly. And lightweight, and all the paint is natural too, so they can chew, and they put everything in their mouth. So you have to be careful about what you bring to them. So this is all good toys for little babies.
For the babies. Great. Okay. Nicole, tell us, I know all of this is available in your store, but you also have a website. So tell us the website address.
It's happymonkeyshop.com.
happymonkeyshop.com. Okay. Talk to us about what are developmentally appropriate toys for toddlers. Would you recommend anything for toddlers?
So toddlers begin to imitate what we do, right? They like to pretend they're cooking, they're in a restaurant taking orders. So kitchen play, pretend play. I have this, I want to show you, they have this very cool, we have a lot of pretend food in the store. This is one that I really like. This is, as you can see, this is cheese. I don't know if you can see.
Oh yeah.
This brand is very realistic, from Germany. And we also have wooden knives, and this is Velcro. So kids can also practice, cutting, like the fine motor skills, so they can play that. We also have this little chicken here. So you can pretend
you can cut it. Oh, how funny.
It's so cute.
That's great.
Like this little tomato. But again, we have to be careful with the size. This is a small one. So this can be for 3 and up. So, and some toddlers still put things in their mouth. So you are the one who knows what's safe for them. I'm very, very careful with them. So, dolls are perfect for that age. They start to caring about, their dolls. They do what you do with them. They put them to sleep. They feed them. We also have these sorters. Sorters are great too. We also have these beehives, which are great for fine motor skills. Color sorting and grasping, and this is
that's good.
Yeah, this is one of our best sellers. And pretend play. We have this doctor set. They start pretending they're doctors and hairdressers, makeup artists, all of that. So this is also great for them. So this is what we have today.
Love it. Okay, I have a question. I feel like it's a very trendy term. I hear like sustainable toys, and I think, wow, it sounds so trendy. But what exactly, what makes a toy sustainable? What is a sustainable toy?
So sustainable toys is a toy that is made of natural materials and non-toxic materials. So renewable wood, cotton, bamboo. But when we also talk about wood, sustainable is when they source the wood from forests that they're taking care of. They're not just, cutting trees and making toys out of wood and then forgetting about those forests. So these are people that care about where they source the wood and also non-toxic materials.
Yeah, that's so good. And it's crazy to think a lot of the toys that maybe we buy at, a big box store or something could have toxic materials on them, or just be, a plastic that would easily could break off. And I know we've had toys that were made out of plastic, and a piece just broke off, and then the toy became, we couldn't play with it because it was too sharp and it could hurt the child, So I love that about your wooden toys. So why choose sustainably made toys versus, the other things that we tend to collect in our homes?
Right. So if we think about like the quantity of plastic toys that are made in the world right now, it's very depressing. A lot of these toys are, and I don't have anything against plastic toys, but it's just, I know that they're easy to get, they're very accessible. Sometimes you are traveling, you need something for your kid, but a lot of times we throw them away very easily. Like we buy plastic toys, we get rid of them. So this actually ends up in landfills, in the ocean. So I think if I've seen a lot of more parents thinking more about, the planet and our consumption. The more we buy a specific thing, the more is going to be produced. Right. So I've seen a shift actually in parents right now. They love buying wooden toys. They love buying toys that are going to last for longer. So this actually is going to help reducing the plastic, in production in the world. So if each of us buy a little bit less of plastic toys, I think we can, make a change there. Yeah.
That's great. That's great. I know I've caught myself, when I'm cleaning out, especially this season, I always do kind of a big clean out before Christmas, before new things come in. And I think, man, it is so easy to toss those plastic ones, but then I get to like the wooden ones that maybe my kids used when they were, infants. And I'm like, oh, I don't want to part with this one. It's such a good toy. And then being a mom of 3, I want what the 4-year-old's using now. I want it to last for the 1-year-old, so it's really an investment to see those all the way through. Are there certain certifications or anything that we should look for when buying like eco-friendly, sustainable toys?
Yeah. So besides the certifications you need to look for, you have to buy from a store that really like takes care of, the brands they bring in. Like, for example, every brand we bring, I do a deep research about the brand, the workshops. We work with a lot of small producers in Europe. And, I look for their certifications of safety and what kind of paint they use. For example, the FSC certification ensures that toys come from responsible managed forest, which is something that's very important for us. We don't want to just buy from someone that's going to cut trees and then forget about those forests. So that's very important. The ISO, sorry, I have to read because this is 9001, is international standard. So this specifies requirements for a quality management system. So this also uses standard to demonstrate the ability to provide products and services that meet customer regulatory requirements. So there are a lot of these different certifications you can look, but the first thing you have to do is buying from a store that is going to do the research for you, and that's going to stand behind all the brands they represent.
That's great. Thanks, Nicole. Question, what age range does Happy Monkey serve? I know you've shown us kind of babies and toddlers kind of toys today, but like what age ranges does your store serve?
So we sell toys from newborns to 8 years old. Okay. And another thing is blocks, that we really love blocks. And I think they have the reputation that blocks are just for babies, but actually they are one of the best open-ended toys you're going to find. I have a 6-year-old daughter that still plays with blocks, and they grow with your child. And a lot of these toys you see in the background right there, a lot of them they're going to just change with your child. So, but eight is like the max that we sell toys for.
That's great. Awesome. Well, the shop is beautiful. The toys are beautiful. I have been eyeing those little rainbows for a while. I just think those are the coolest things, the stacking, and there's so many different things that the kids can use them for. So Nicole, thank you so much. Okay, I want to share, I'm going to drop a link for everyone in the chat right now. And it's actually a link to a resource on Miami Mom Collective, where we have a favorite things gift guide. So some of our favorite local businesses. So everything for a gift for mom, a gift for grandma, all sorts of different categories, but Happy Monkey is there in that gift guide, and they gave us a discount code. So if you want to go shop online, you want to click that link first, get your coupon code so you can get a discount there at Nicole's shop. And again, you can get everything on her shop at happymonkeyshop.com. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
happymonkeyshop.com. Wonderful. Well, great. So many good questions tonight. Such a great and relevant topic. Again, we're going to put some resources up here for you. But before we do, I want to let you know, join us. We're taking a little hiatus for the holidays, but we are coming back Thursday, January 13th for our next episode, which is on the topic of potty training. And I am in the thick of it right now with my son. My daughter was no problem. I don't know what it was, but I don't know, people say girls are easier, and I just tend to believe it. But my daughter just decided, and my son is like, he's just not there yet. So I'm excited for the practical tips and help that we are going to get. So if you or someone you know is in that stage or navigating that or soon to be there, it can be challenging. And so we're going to talk about the tools that you may need, or tactics, best techniques. Is there a difference in timeline and with boys or girls, all that. So join us January 13th. We will be sending an email, and we'll also be advertising that on social media. So stay tuned for that. Again, if you've missed any of our episodes, you can go back to jacksonevents.org. And I'm excited, the moment we've all been waiting for. Who is taking home the $75 gift card to Happy Monkey? We have chosen a winner at random, and the winner is, drum roll. I wish I had a little drum. I could do a little drum roll. The winner is Deborah Zablotsky. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right, but Deborah. So yay, congratulations, Deborah. Deborah, you can shoot us a message with your email address. You can drop it in the comments, whatever you prefer. And we will get that to you so you can do a little holiday shopping at Happy Monkey. So again, thank you so much, Nicole, for joining us. Dr. Weinstein, thank you for bringing your expertise tonight. We appreciate you so much. And I just hope that everyone has a wonderful holiday season, or Christmas, Hanukkah, if you're celebrating that, and on into the new year. I am excited to see what 2022 will bring us. Who even knows? But one thing we know is we will be back here on January 13th, and we hope to see you then. We're going to put a couple resources here for you to see. You can screenshot that if you want that website to view our previous episodes. But otherwise, I will end with saying good evening. Have a great night, and we will see you in 2022. So thank you so much for joining us. Again, here's those resources to the Children's Trust Parent Club. Great resource. And of course, these others here. So check those out. And jacksonevents.org. If you want to pass this one on to a friend, it will be up later next week. So thank you so much for joining us. And we hope to see you in January.